What is blockchain? That's a great question. And I would say this, the best way to think about it is the analogy of a jungle. I always like to compare it to a jungle. Imagine you're walking into a jungle and it's got fruits and vegetables and animals and just this everlasting abundance of resources that you can tap into at any moment. You can just walk in and start doing. There's nobody there stopping you from doing that. You walk up and you see some water coming out of the ground, like birthing out of the ground, out of a rock. And you put your water bottle and you start grabbing water and you drink it and you see that it's abundant, it's just coming out, it's overflowing. So you tell your friends and you tell your family and you say, hey, come over here, there's a lot of resources here that we can tap into, it's all free. Blockchain is sort of the same thing, okay? When the internet started I'm gonna say in the late 70s, early 80s, it was mainly used by universities and then the military. Once it started to really become more mainstream and start using it more commercially, that's when things sort of shifted. When the corporations came in and started to, because they're driven by profit and power, when they came in and wanted to reinforce the internet because there's a lot of money to be made in the beginning, they started to lay down these hard cable lines. And they've been laying down these cables for the last 40 years. And there's thousands and thousands of cables that connect each individual location to each other. So we have actual hard cables in the bottom of the ocean connecting the US to Europe and the Europe to other countries in farther west and east. So right now we're in a situation where there are so many, it's an actual mycelium network of hard cables that create the internet. I would say it's somewhere between 90 to 95% is what actually makes up the internet, so those hard cables. And so it's essentially impossible to stop it, to cut the internet, to stop, because there's been, again, because of profit and greed, there's been a lot of redundancy systems and, again, enough lines so that if one does break from a godly force, weather or whatever, it's okay because the system will just reroute and be redundant. So it's interesting to see what blockchain is doing. And this is the last piece of it. So the last piece of it is the centralization, decentralization of the servers. So the last piece of the puzzle out of all those hard cables is us. So every device, every phone, every computer, everything that connects to the internet, whether it's through Wi-Fi or through hard cable, has an IP address. It's like a thumbprint, and it's very unique to that specific device. So when you connect to the internet, when you connect to that highway, you're now a point of transaction for information, okay? So that means that you become a part of the internet to then facilitate the communication. So up until now, we've been centralizing our connections. We've been going to Instagram, to Facebook, to Google, to all these websites that are very mainstream in the middle. And we've taken that power and redistributed it to the individual. So now I don't have to go, for me to communicate to you, I don't have to go through Instagram or to Google or through Vimeo or through YouTube or any of that. I can go directly to your computer and communicate directly. And that is the blockchain. That's what makes the system so beautiful, and I honestly think the beginning of a paradigm shift. All right, so if I was going to describe blockchain in one sentence, it would be that it's an open source ledger that is immutable, interoperable, peer-to-peer, and decentralized connections. I think that's it's because it's so many things. It's all these, I can keep going. I was thinking about it, like there's a few other words probably. But that describes the majority of it. It's decentralized, it's immutable, it's interoperable, it's open source, open ledger, self-governing, power to the people.